Today we'll be talking about the Strikelink modem for the Commodore 64 user port. The Strikelink modem is a simple ESP8266 device which duplicates the functionality of an old-school Commodore modem, allowing you to connect to Commodore BBS systems over the internet, just like we did back in the day using telephone lines. The programs that you see me use today and information will be linked in the video description below this video. We're going to start with CCGMS terminal, and I've just plugged the Strikelink device in. It is at its default settings as you get it out of the package. So the first thing we're going to need to do is match the terminal's baud rate to those settings. I'm going to tap the F7 key. The modem type should read at this point user port 300 to 2400. That is correct. We're going to change the baud rate with the B until it reads 1200 baud. The next thing I'm going to do to configure this is to switch the terminal to ASCII mode. In CCGMS, this is done with the F8 or Shift F7. And now I'm going to send an ATI to the modem, and we should see the firmware. The Strikelink modem I'm using here today is using Bo Zimmerman's Z modem firmware, version 3.7.1. My Strikelink is already connected to my local network. I can see that with that connected to CBM and IP address at the bottom. However, we'll go through the whole process here so that you can see how to set yours up. So the first thing you're going to do is type AT plus config and hit enter. And Wi-Fi. The ESP32 has just scanned across our networks to find the available Wi-Fi networks in the area. I'm going to select mine by its number and type in its password. I'm not too concerned with you seeing my Wi-Fi password. This is an internal network on my network. Enter yours when asked. I'm going to hit the enter key at the next question, enter key again, and yes, and enter to save my settings. Yours should be connected to your local network and provide you an IP address when you do those commands. It's a pretty good idea to check to see if you're running the latest copy of the Z modem firmware. The way you do that is type AT and ampersand U for update 6502 and hit enter. My firmware is up to date. However, if your firmware downloads and updates, you'll have to go back through the AT plus config again and give it your settings for your Wi-Fi connection. We're almost ready to dial a BBS at this point, but remember I'm at 1200 baud. Let's pump the speed up a little bit and make things a little more interesting. I'm going to type ATB for baud 9600 and hit the enter key. The terminal at this point, if I tap the enter key, gives us some garbage, and that's because we are still set at the 1200 baud settings in the terminal. Need to tap the F7 key, change the modem type to UP96 and the baud rate to 9600 baud. If I type ATI again, we get the message telling us we're connected to our local network and the firmware, only much faster. The last thing I'm going to do is switch this over to PETSCI terminal with a Shift F7 or F8, and I'm ready to dial. I'm going to try ATD bbs.retrocampus.com:6400. Oh, that's not right. 6510 10 is their port address. When dialing a BBS over the internet, ATD is attention dial, followed by the name of the bulletin board or its location, a full colon, and the port address of that bulletin board. And we're connected to Retro Campus. Let's see, what can I do here? Let's see what's going on in the news today. And let's see, CNN News here. There's all the latest news I can read right here on the Commodore 64. I'm going to go ahead and back out. And back out one more time. And disconnect from the bulletin board. Now at this point, the modem is currently set at 9600 baud. If I want to write that setting to the modem permanently, in other words, so that it powers up in that mode, I just need to execute an AT&W and write that setting to the modem. So next time I power it up, it'll go right to 9600 baud. I choose to keep mine set at the standard 1200 baud setting and simply change it to whatever I need and whatever terminal I'm using. If you do make a change to your default settings, it's a good idea to put a sticker on your modem or at least make a note to those default settings so that you can remember how you need to configure your terminal program when you turn on your 64. Now, I'm going to go ahead and step into a new mode that's recently become available to the Strikelink and other modem devices. This is a mode that was not available to us back in the day. We'll need to use a different terminal program. We're also going to need to configure a different setting on our modem. So I'm going to execute another command, ATF0, add a B, 57600 and hit the enter key. I'm increasing the baud rate again. Tap the enter key, getting some garbage from the terminal because the terminal doesn't speak that baud rate. So I'm going to leave the 64 turned on so that my modem stays set in that setting. Tap the reset key on my computer and run a different terminal program that supports the Turbo 56K mode. All right, and if I type ATI here, I get the firmware announcement, a little bit of noise from this terminal, and I'm connected to my local network. Let's connect to a 56K BBS. I'm going to type ATD, attention dial, followed by the name, bbs.gunstar.1, full colon, and the 6400 port address of that BBS. This is actually my BBS, which is a Turbo 56K BBS system. Now you'll use an address that looks like the one I've just typed out. I'm sitting right next to the computer that runs that, so I've got to access it just a little bit differently here. I'm going to access it by its internal address or IP address. You'll use the first example I typed up to connect. And I'm going to log in.
Security authorization. I am the voice of Night Industry 2000's microprocessor, KITT for easy reference, a KIT if you prefer.
Jump over to the art gallery here. And we'll view an image. And there we go. Now, these options that I'm using here for digitized sound and music and graphics transmitted over a BBS, these are brand new things that did not exist back in the day. Back in the day, if you wanted to hear a digitized audio file like the ones we heard at Login, or view an image, a high-res image like the one that we have on the screen right now, you would have to go to the download section of the BBS, find the file, download that file to your Commodore disk drive, then log off the BBS, load up the appropriate picture viewer, or at least the appropriate program that you downloaded, and view that image or listen to that audio file. So BBSs back in the day definitely did not have access to things like Wikipedia or YouTube. These are our modern concepts that have been adapted to our Commodore 64s to sort of stretch them out a little bit. All right, it's your turn. Get your Strikelink out. If you don't have a Strikelink yet, you can actually buy one from our eBay shop and support the channel. We've got links to those in the description as well as where to go for firmware, all of the commands that are accessible by the firmware, where to get both of the terminal programs I'm using here. So hopefully we're going to see you online real soon.